Welcome back to Action Jack-0ffs, the show where we talk about the very best and favorite action movies of all time. Today we are going to be talking about probably one of the most famous movies ever made,
Legendary.
legendary. We have Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. From this moment on, I will
Drop all
just
that.
do what?
Did not drop all that. We're talking about Star Wars today.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's just cut it down to just us talking about Star Wars. Yes, we will be mostly talking about A New Hope. There's probably going to be some other Star Wars stuff thrown in there, but I will just be specifically referring to this as Star Wars.
Star Wars,
So,
1977.
so what made us pick this particular movie? Like when we were coming together, we were like, we got to pick some action, and we were thinking to ourselves, like, what are some of the big movies that we haven't done yet? Because we've only got like a few episodes left before we put a hiatus or put a kibosh on the show. And one of the big movies that we were talking about doing, I wish I could find where I had those texts where we were talking about which ones we were going to do, but we ultimately ended up on Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, we ended up on Star Wars. Let's see here. God, where was it? That doesn't matter. But basically, we were like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And then I suggested, hey, should we do Star Wars? Because for a reason other than the fact that Star Wars is a classic, it's also classified as an action movie. And because I happen to be watching Star Wars The Clone Wars at the making of this video, I'm only on season 5.
You're so close.
Season 5, episode 15 is where I'm at specifically.
I have the text.
You do?
Potential candidates: True Lies, The Matrix, Under Siege, Star Wars: A New Hope, T2. Any of those, I said, and you said, pick, bitch. And I said Star Wars, to which you replied, bet.
Yeah, that's that's the extent of our decision making process.
That's about as detailed as it gets.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked it. So,
Star Wars, a classic, great show.
Great
Grew
show.
up.
You grew up watching it. I actually grew up adjacent to it, which is kind of a greater
Very Star Wars
metaphor.
adjacent, it seems.
I was about to say it's a greater metaphor for my entire experience with Star Wars as a whole, in that I either watched it, the movies growing up, in so far as I saw it once and then didn't see it for years at a time, and then maybe watched it again when I was older. And then, of course, as time would go on, I was able to grow up with. So people grew up with different eras of Star Wars. There's people that grew up with the original trilogy, people that were younger and kids. We were kids at the time. The prequel trilogy was coming out.
Yeah, I was born the same year the Phantom Menace came out.
Yeah, so we were babies, and I don't really remember a time during that time period where Star Wars was a big thing, but I don't really remember it much from that time period. So I grew up adjacent to it again. But then, come 2016 or 2015, I think it was 2015, 2016 when Force Awakens came out, and then we had the sequel trilogy come out. And I grew up with that trilogy because I actually went to the theaters and saw those movies. That was the first time for me actually going and seeing Star Wars in theaters. And everything else that was adjacent to that, I kind of have been on the sidelines for. I would say the only show that I really, somewhat got into was The Mandalorian. I only watched the first season, got halfway into the second season, and just stopped. And then I know, terrible. It's supposed to be a really good show, and I just kind of fell off.
Most people gave up on season 3, but now hearing that you gave up during season 2, which is arguably the best season of the show, garbage.
I'm just gonna have to disagree with you on that. Season 1, I think, was just lightning in a bottle.
It's all right. It's a good setup, but you don't know how season 2 ends, do you?
No, not a clue.
So let's shut your mouth.
My dumb opinions are invalid.
Anyways, we're talking about the trench run today. We're talking about taking a greater step into a wider world, you know. We're
Yeah.
talking about the Cantina Bar. We're talking about the Millennium Falcon. We're talking about Chewie, my guy.
Are we talking about those things?
We're gonna.
Are we? Okay.
We're talking about Star Wars, dude. The OG.
We sure are. Where would you like to begin with the original Star Wars movie?
A galaxy far, far away a long time ago.
Yep. There was a boy.
That's so funny.
That's
It's
awesome.
just so crazy. There's a really good documentary called Empire Dreams that you could watch the making of the original trilogy. It's really insightful. It's really good. It shows how they were all like for the first one at least for the original Star Wars. A lot of this stuff they had to invent. They had to create, and a lot of people didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
Almost the entire production. And it's crazy when you look back on it and you hear these interviews about people who were in the creative process or the producing process or actually like hands-on working on it, being like, yeah, this I don't know what this bullshit is. And then when it all came together, it was undeniable.
Yeah. That's really fascinating. But can I hit you with a cold shower real quick?
This guy,
I
this
rewatched this movie and I gotta say, New Hope, not as good as I remember.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's among my least favorite out of all of them, but it is just such a classic film
Yeah.
where
And
like the
I
stuff that's lame,
yeah, I
you're
mean,
just like,
sure.
I'm glad we're here.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't say that just to like be controversial. You know, I'm not like, oh, here's an opinion for you, a guy that doesn't like the first Star Wars movie. Um, no,
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I love them all, but if we're ranking them, A New Hope is pretty low.
yeah, that's what we should have done as like a bit was
We
rank.
can do that at the end.
We
Don't worry.
I don't have anything set up. I would have to like set it up. We can try that, but for the sake of fluidity, we'll just kind of we'll just kind of
This
do it
guy,
offhand. Uh,
this
so
guy.
because I'm not gonna have visuals, I'm not gonna have anything like that. It'll just kind of like be a small offhand thing. We'll do it, you know, blah blah blah. We'll knock it out real quick.
Oh,
But like I said, I don't dislike this movie. Um, in fact, I still enjoy a great many things about it. But like you said, you know, you articulated it really well. Of all the Star Wars movies, I sit and think to myself, man, New Hope just blew me out of my ass. You know what I mean?
What's especially funny is that I watched all of these super out of order growing up, and I'm almost positive I saw this one last.
Really? What would have been the first one you saw?
It was Attack of the Clones, I believe, at a babysitter's house, and it was just the end when they're already on Geonosis and stuff.
Wow.
So it was just like, you know, seeing like 30 plus Jedi fighting the droids and the Geonosians and the giant monsters and Obi-Wan being a badass and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I
And then
have
like
to.
the Count Dooku fight.
Yeah.
That is like the first. And though everybody shits on Attack of the Clones, it's pretty great.
Let's just be honest here. Like, let's just apply that to all nine of them. Well, most of them, right? All of the Star Wars movies in general are pretty great.
I like all of them, even the bad ones. I said that in the text not too long ago. Like I like all of the Star Wars that they've ever made. Now, how much I like each one of those varies.
Right.
But I am one of the least toxic Star Wars fans where I'm just like, I just like that it's available. Because for the longest time, it was like six movies and like a few shows and like one off specials and stuff. And a lot of those suck.
Yeah. Like people want to talk about the movies sucking or this movie sucks in particular, and I won't say
Have
which
you ever
ones we're
watched the
talking about.
Ewok movies?
Exactly. Or the Star Wars Christmas specials.
Exactly. Those were dog shit.
Yeah, those were
It used
terrible.
to it used to just be 6 movies, uh, uh, and then the 2 Cartoon Network Clone Wars, the 2 different ones.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, I mean, we say that, but there was, a whole galaxy of Star Wars media that was
Oh
out
yeah, I
there.
just
Like,
never got into Legends and stuff. Like I have a few
yeah,
of those
yeah.
books. I was just never my. I was like Star Wars is something you watch,
Star Wars is something you have to kind of give yourself over
or like the
to,
video games. I liked
or
a lot of the video games.
like, okay, good example. I just started playing Jedi Survivor for the first time. I've never played it before, um, and it's a really
Did you play the
interesting
first
game.
one?
I never played the first one. I don't have the
That's
first one.
what's wrong with you?
Hey, you talked about doing things out of order.
That's true.
Um,
That's true. That's fair.
but to be fair, you don't, as far as I understand, they do reference the first game enough to where you don't really have to experience the first game to play this
But
game.
it just rips, dude.
Yeah, I know, I get that. It's it's just fascinating, like just
It's
being able to
almost
experience Star Wars in all these different mediums.
oh yeah, it's Survivor is pretty much beat for beat the same game as the first one with just a little bit better graphics and a little bit better gameplay, but like they're both pretty similar. I like them both a lot.
Right. It's
First one just like there's a Darth Vader scene that rips.
yeah.
There's just so much shit. And then there's did you ever play The Force Unleashed?
Yes, I played it on the Wii.
Yeah.
Which, to believe it or not, actually came with some pretty decent motion control segments where you have to like move the Wii remote to do like force motions and stuff like that. So I did Force Unleashed and
That's
Force
so
Unleashed
funny.
2 on the Wii.
That's so funny. The second one sucks. I was so disappointed.
I don't it's literally been since they came out that I remember playing them. So I remember that
It's not
ev-
even that the second one it's not even that the second one sucks. It's just so short that you're just like, "What?"
yeah. All I remember is that it's basically Fallen Order, but like in reverse. It's like instead of it being a, a Jedi apprentice that is being hunted by the Empire, it's about a guy who was created by the Empire to be an apprentice of Darth Vader.
Well, the second one is he gets cloned. And the first one he just finds him as a Padawan.
Yeah, I remember the cloning thing. Spoilers, I guess, uh,
Spoilers for a
for
20-year-old game.
a damn near 20-year-old game on no, that's not even canon anymore. Or I guess was
They're gonna
never,
bring him in.
or I guess was never canon. Who knows? It was before the Disney era. It was a trying
It was
time
before the dark times.
before the dark. And it was from a long time ago, from a much more civilized age. So anyway, that's that. That's so what kind of got me back into Star Wars. I'll say is kind of like something that is a good transition for me at least. That kind of helped catapult me back into trying to at least be a part of the Star Wars universe again. Was I started playing the current Star Wars TCG, Star Wars. Great game. I won't say much about it other than it's really fun. It's a really good game. Uh,
Lame.
I tried to introduce it to you that one time, and you were just like, "Garrett, this is too much."
Here,
Just
this looks like somebody's trying to play Battlefront on paper.
that's so that's so accurate. It's very accurate. Honestly, it's basically like how do I take an action oriented medium like Star Wars with space battles and ground battles and lightsaber duels, and how do I transition that to cardboard? And it does the absolute best that it can do. And I think it succeeds. I have fun with it. I feel like if you gave it a shot and tried to actually play it, you would get into it. But I'm not going to force that on you because then I know that's just going to make it not fun. Um, but it helped me kind of get into Star Wars, and I was like, wait, man, what is the thing that I can do to like take my next step into Star Wars? Because I have seen all of the movies at least once. I would say I've seen the prequels the least amount of times, like to the point where I don't know jack shit about them. Like I'd have to rewatch the prequels because I genuinely don't remember anything about them.
Oh, okay. Let's start here. So back in the day,
Yeah, I know, right? This whole rest of this podcast would just be
me
a
explaining
summary.
all of Star Wars to you.
Yeah, um, but I've seen them all at least once. And but I was like, I'm going to rewatch Star Wars: The Clone Wars because I had attempted to watch it many years ago, back when my first child was born, and I was about 8 episodes in. I think it was just I don't know if it was that those 8 episodes just weren't grabbing me, if I wasn't in the right headspace, if I was just like really not into Star Wars at the time, because there's a great
Just
deal.
needed a card game. That's all I've been telling
Just
you.
needed a card game, yeah.
Dude, if I could find a card game for every single one of my interests, I could hook you. I could get you.
True, true, and yeah. So then I was like, I'm gonna give it another shot. Picked up right where I left off with episode 9, which I think was the right call, as opposed to starting over and watching the first 8 episodes again. Because once I started episode 9, I was like, holy shit, this is a good show. And I got, I just dove headlong. Said I'm on season 5 now, and it's kicking ass. I'm enjoying it. I take some breaks here and there. Like I just got back from Nashville, so I
Nashville.
kind of took a break for a few days, and now I watched another episode today. So I'm at least another episode down, and I'm gonna get back into it and hopefully finish it. And then once I finish it, then I'll be able to transition into rewatching the prequels. Not like watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars is going to give me like a leg up and have all this extra context, but I feel like it's going to help me better understand characters, or at least better understand the vision. It's one of the things that I walked away criticizing the prequels from was I'm not really seeing the vision. I feel like George Lucas's vision is kind of getting lost in the sauce. Whereas to bring it back to New Hope in the original trilogy, I I had this not necessarily debate, but I had this conversation with somebody the other day, a good friend of mine back who I stayed with in Nashville. We were talking about Star Wars, and I said that he loves the prequels, and I was like, dude, I have no shame against the prequels. I like them too. I just don't think they're as strong as the original trilogy in terms of storytelling. But the problem with the prequels is that George Lucas had complete control over the property. Whereas with the original trilogy, George Lucas had control, but he also had creative input from his entire team and studios, the producers, other creative team members. Like the original trilogy was like a melting pot of ideas that kind of came together and helped reel things back to give us the groundbreaking movie we got. Just kind of like my perspective on things when it comes to that. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
Uh, a little bit of both.
Like
Like,
it,
I remember in those documentaries in the original trilogy, he had two other people direct Empire and Return of the Jedi because he just didn't feel like he wanted to.
right.
And I believe he tried to do something similar when the prequels were coming out. I think he wanted Spielberg to direct one of them. Uh, but yeah, it is weird. I enjoyed the prequels probably the most. I like Return of the Jedi probably the most out of the original trilogy.
Uh,
Uh, but I have real mixed confusion sometimes, or mixed views sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, all right, let's look at this as like a directing like showcase. Let's look at all the different weird cuts. Let's look at all the different performances. Let's look at all of it. And you can tell that Empire and Return of the Jedi are probably better directed than the other four.
Yeah.
And that's just because it's not George doing the directing. But I just, like I said, I like them all. I like watching them. I think that the Greek tragedy of Anakin Skywalker that plays out throughout the prequel, even if it's not well acted, even if it's not well directed, I think it still comes across pretty well.
I like the idea of it. I think the idea comes across really compellingly. Um, like I know what they were
Because I kind
going
of you just gotta
for,
kind of watch this as like as it is like a Greek tragedy, or it is like a children's
or
Saturday morning special or something.
like I like to think of it as Shakespearean almost.
Yeah, it's space opera.
Yeah, pretty much. But to
It's a melodrama. It's Days of Our Lives. It's one of those things. That's why it's episodes.
true, yeah, and I think that is like how you can explain like why all this like crazy galactic, intergalactic, like cosmic super duper shit keeps happening to like this one family of people, this one lineage of people. Um, because it's about them and their lives. Like you said, it's basically Young and the Restless in the Days of Our Lives of
But of the
this
Skywalkers.
but with the Skywalker. Yeah.
That's and again, that's why I like some of the side stories, some of the other canon, some of the other lore when it comes to it, because like the original six movies are about Anakin Skywalker. The it's all his story.
Yeah.
Where, even though Luke's the main character of the original trilogy, when you watch all six of them, it's the story of Anakin.
Yes. His rise, his fall, his eventual redemption.
I saw I saw a meme the other day where it's Padme and Obi-Wan whenever Padme's on her deathbed and she's like, "There's still good in him," and Obi-Wan just looks down at her and went, "This is his second genocide."
He's done this before.
The Sand People,
Yeah.
the Tusken
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
and murdered them like animals.
That is actually it brings up a good point. So like Anakin is like murdered children. Um,
In two separate accounts, and then that doesn't even that's all the stuff before he's really Darth Vader.
yeah, which I mean, I'll call that his turn to the dark side. He became dark. He became, a Sith, a member of the dark side. Uh, Even before he became officially Darth Vader, he's a member of the dark side. So he does all that stuff when he becomes a member of Red. And I keep thinking to myself like, and I know this has nothing to do with no New Hope. We'll get back to that in a second.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're just kind of like
We're just spazzing.
we're
Yeah,
just kind of
we're
covering all
just
our bases,
we're just
essentially.
like to talk about. We're talking about Star Wars here. This is what you came for.
This is what you came for.
We
Hopefully
go
you.
off on rants all the time. What about it?
What about it? Hopefully you enjoy this. Um, so I always wondered to myself, does Anakin truly redeem? Is Anakin's redemption earned?
Well, I don't think he's fully redeemed, and I don't think he fully earned it. I think it's one of those things where the prophecy still took place, just not how they thought it. And it's because of Anakin's own greed and wanting to change the past and future that drove him to what he did and what he became.
Right.
And
Like
that
it's all about his own hate, and it was only through an act of love for his son did he overcome the dark side.
exactly. And he didn't it's not like he really, all he really did at the end of the day was save Luke, and that was like his last like thing he does before he dies. He changes the tide of everything. But it's really that just his last act is that he did something good. But Luke, like him killing Palpatine and Luke saving the day and everything, is what the prophecy was always going to be. But It's the own hubris of the Jedi and Palpatine's schemes and persuading the Force and all this canon and lore that has to happen to make it take place. But it's just it's a pretty simple story when you break it all down. There's just all of this like little lore and little stuff, but it's all just I don't think he ever really redeems himself, but he never was really supposed to. It was his own hubris and his own demise that made him more machine than man, but he always was going to do this thing.
Yeah, man, and I agree with that. I just think, like you said, I mean, when you boil everything down, it's really is Star Wars is the ultimate story of the battle between good and evil.
And it's just taking from so many different points of context and stuff. It's literally boiled down of all of the different Arthurian and Shakespearean and samurai and biblical. It's all these different stories and tropes just boiled down into space opera.
Yeah, kind of like a Flash Gordon serial or something like that. Like
Well, that's originally what George Lucas wanted to do, and nobody would let him, so he made his own.
it was a Flash Gordon movie. Yeah. I had heard about that. And then of
Yeah,
course Flash Gordon got made into a movie in like
and it's
1980
terrible.
as a result of this movie.
All right, quick side tangent before we get back to the Star Wars: A New Hope, Episode 4.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with David Lynch?
Yes.
So, have you ever watched Twin Peaks or any of his weird stuff?
I've seen. If I'm correct, David Lynch did Eraserhead, right?
Yes, that's his first one.
Yeah. So I saw that. I saw that back in college, and then I believe I've seen his Dune, his rendition on
Okay.
Dune.
Okay, so that's perfect. So, at the point that this story takes place, David Lynch is meeting with George Lucas. Return of the Jedi has not come out yet. He's
Okay.
looking for a director to direct it. And David Lynch at this point has made Eraserhead and The Elephant Man.
Mm-hmm.
One of them really weird and one of them really straightforward. He's got a lot of acclaim. George Lucas is trying to get him to direct Return of the Jedi. And David Lynch tells you should just look it up. David Lynch just tells his awesome story where he's like he sees the Ewoks and he gets this really big headache and he just doesn't want to do the movie or be around George Lucas anymore after he sees the Ewoks. And then he goes on to direct Dune and he's just as upset that he did that.
Yeah.
Or he was. Rest in peace.
And Dune, David Lynch's Dune is yet another direct inspiration from Star Wars. Not the novels, the movie.
It's one of those the Dune novels involved or inspired Star Wars, and then the Dune movie was because Star Wars did so well.
Yeah, because Star Wars pretty much changed the way we look at movies effectively, which I know is kind of like a bold statement, but I mean
But it was like every movie after Jaws just changed it more and more. It's like Jaws, then Rocky, then Star Wars, then Scarface, then like it just every single year it just kept going up and
Indiana
up.
Jones. Like I remember back when we first talked about Indiana Jones, we were like Indiana Jones kind of changed the way we look at action movies.
I mean, it really did.
It really did.
It serialized them.
Go watch
made something happen every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
but Star Wars kind of has that too, just a little bit more spaced out.
Yeah, go watch our video on our podcast episode on Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. We go into like greater detail on that.
See, again, it's just Raiders. Just Raiders of the Lost Ark. You keep adding all these extra titles.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Go fuck yourself.
These were what they were called.
Fuck you.
Just Raiders of the Lost Ark, my guy. It's just Temple of Doom.
It's just
fucked.
The
Last Crusade.
Yeah, get fucked.
Get fucked, idiot. It wasn't until the fucking Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out.
What's wrong with calling it Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark? That's what the fucking title is. You fucking
That's what it is now. That's not what it started as.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know, I'm just messing.
Do you call I don't even have a good fucking example. I'm so mad
Yeah,
right
because you're an
now.
idiot.
No, you're a fucking ass. Okay? Jeez,
God, I
we're
love
not
this my
talking
life.
about the Bible here. Okay? We're not going. I'm not going around going the King James Bible. This, the King James Bible. No, it's the fucking Bible. We're not talking about the Bible. We're talking about Star Wars, and we're talking about Indiana Jones. We're talking about A New Hope, and we're always talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark. Whatever the fuck it's called. That's what the fuck we're talking about here. Jesus
That's so
Christ.
funny.
Where the fuck am I right now? I feel like I'm in hell.
That's so funny.
God, get off my dick with this.
That's so funny.
Anyway,
Anyway, so do you think the trench run still holds up, or does it look a little wonky?
I think it holds up great, actually.
Really? I see. That's I feel like the most boring part of the movie. Not the actual trench run, but like all of the space battle stuff leading up to that.
Okay,
I feel like
I'll
it
give I'll
kind
give
of kills the pace.
I'll give you this. The space battle is noticeably lackluster.
Because even the TIE fighters fighting the Falcon earlier in the movie is more like propulsive.
I feel like that's because that's like our first real
That's
space
like the
battle.
first thing. I just feel like the X-wings and the TIE fighter battle is just like it feels slow, but I don't know if that's because there's just other better space battles in the series.
I think that is the latter. I
It's
think.
hard to judge it by itself anymore after there's been so many movies.
Well, I noticed whenever they get into the X-wings that the thing that's holding it back is the fact that there's supposed to be like 30 of them, and you only ever really see maybe 2 to 5 on screen at a time.
Yeah.
So you don't get the sense of scale that it's trying to convey to you. Like we're supposed to be battling alongside this moon-sized spacecraft that is, able to blow up planets and like do all this crazy shit. And yet, for the climax of the movie, it's kind of just there as a set piece. There's like an imminent danger, sure. They're going to blow up the planet that the rebellion is hiding on, but there's the the battle that you're supposed to be taking place with. You only get maybe 4 ships on screen at a time, and that includes TIE fighters, Darth Vader's ship, the X-wings, like
The Falcon.
the Falcon. Like anytime there's like you never get all these ships on screen at the same time. You never get any sense of scale for what's actually going on, and so it
And
feels underwhelming. Just just for us, I feel like we have that as a detriment of being a modern audience because we've seen things like Star Wars: The Clone Wars. We've seen things like the prequels. We've seen the sequel trilogy. We know what big space epic battles are supposed to look like. And Star Wars: A New Hope didn't have that advantage. Being the first film with the types of budgeting they had, the types of limitations they had on themselves. I mean, this was back during the era they didn't even have the ability to fully show the lightsaber come on screen.
yeah,
It had to be
it's
like
a mix of practical and special effects.
it had to be like flash cut on screen. It had to be cut.
It's so jarring whenever Luke does it.
When Luke does it, yeah, I feel like the only time they have a good
It's
lightsaber
Obi-Wan.
transition is when Obi-Wan turns his on the Death Star versus Darth Vader,
Uh-huh. I feel like
which
both times we see Luke do it, it just looks so funny.
the
And it's like
movie
white.
yeah, and the movie like chugs for a second.
Yeah, it's like both when he's doing it in Obi-Wan's little hut and then when he's doing it against the little my eyes are covered. How am I supposed to fight?
Yeah,
And the second time his face is like half covered, so it like almost works, but it's like his face is like an inch off of where it was a second ago.
yeah, like you can tell like the effects just they were there and they were innovative, but looking back on it nowadays, you're like, I'm so spoiled personally by how cool they've made lightsabers look in today's day and age. Even by the time it gets to the prequels, even by the time it gets to fucking Return of the Jedi,
The
like
Return of the Jedi's last lightsaber battle actually looks spectacular.
are we going to address the elephant in the room?
What's that?
That in actuality, now that we've kind of like talked about it a little bit, the action of New Hope really isn't that good.
Yeah, I mean, it's very run of the mill Saturday morning style, serialized, even more than Indiana Jones is. Like them getting trapped in the room that's closing. The bridge is broken. They need to swing across. The little fight they get in at the bar. Like, yeah, it's a little bit lacking, but that's why, like we're saying, it was the first of its time. There's the did you notice the stormtrooper that bumps his head?
No, I think I might have missed that. I've heard about the different floods, but I missed that one.
That's the one that is the most apparent, and it's whenever the stormtroopers are finding C-3PO and R2 in the control room of the Death Star around the same time that they're in the closing in room.
Yeah,
There's just a few stormtroopers, and I forget if there's like a lieutenant guy in gray clothes, but they just walk in, and like the third one in the back bumps his head because he can't see that the door is a little low.
that's funny.
And he kind of go, and I've heard, but I don't know it, that George has put like a sound effect in the special editions where it actually goes like clunk, and he goes, "Oh,
That's funny. What do you think about the special editions? Like the one I saw on Disney Plus includes a lot of like the CGI. I think it's the one that's like the most common edition now. It's like the version of Star Wars that's out there, and it's essentially just all you get to like all the shit on Tatooine, and there's like all these like CGI aliens and other like shit that's all over the place. You still have the banthas that are like practical effects, but then you have like these giant fucking dinosaur type aliens that are all over the place. And then they reinserted that deleted scene with Jabba the Hutt
Jabba the Hutt."
and just CGI'd over the original design for Jabba the Hutt. And then of course there's the uh, Han and Greedo scene. Pretty much
It's so half and half for me."
it's pretty much everything that was on Tatooine that that got augmented the most. I find everything else didn't
Yeah,
really get that. Every from the Death Star on. Once we get to the Death Star, once our heroes get to the Death Star and onward, there's really not much else that's added to it.
yeah, it's like the number of TIE fighters and X-wings, or the number of X-wings in the shot where they're all getting up to space. There's a lot more of them, which is like the most grandiose we ever see is like,
Them
seven
taking
TIE
off.
fighters just in a straight line,
Yeah,
and they're kind of just copy and pasted.
there's a few
Like,
shots of the Millennium Falcon. I think later on that are like
I
CGI.
think the propellers and or the propulsion system and the blasters get added. There's the scene where Han is on the Death Star and he runs into the stormtroopers when he's trying to make a diversion. And there's a lot more of them than is in the original version. It's only like a few in the original version, but in the special edition, there's like 100 stormtroopers that he runs into.
Something like that. Yeah, but it's such a that's one of those
Minute
effects.
detail.
It's such a minute detail that like, and it's like actually done so well in the background that you can't really tell the difference. Like you
I've
you
seen
you wouldn't be able to tell the difference unless you'd seen the original.
Exactly. I've seen them like the because I have the VHSs of all of the different versions just about, and I've seen them all so many times that they all just kind of blend together, and it's only when I'm watching whatever version that I'm like, "Oh, this is the one that is so and so." Like this is the one where Han shoots first. This is the one without Jabba the Hutt. This is like they don't like the Han shooting first thing bothers me more because it's just like the Luke turning on a lightsaber where it's like a weird choppy edit.
Yeah, I mean, the way
Where
his
his head
head,
doesn't look like it's supposed to move.
the way the head moves is just so unnatural, and it looks
Yeah,
really
it's
weird. It
so
takes me out of the
it's almost like
movie.
he has the force.
It takes me out of the shot every single.
Uh-huh.
The scene is ruined every single time, and I
Because the
actually,
original just explodes.
yeah, I actually prefer that Han shoots first. I think it's better for his character. That he goes on like this. He goes on this character arc where he goes from being like this, um, skeevy smuggler.
He's a scum.
He's a scumbag
He's a
to
scoundrel.
being a hero of the rebellion, which I think is funny
He,
that Han kind of like becomes like this like de facto hero. He gets like a medal and everything, and all he did was like shoot like one ship at the end of the day. And meanwhile, Luke
it
blew up
is
the whole Death Star.
it is equivalent of a 18 wheeler.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. But that's besides the point. I don't care if Han shoots first or if Greedo shoots first. I just want it to look good. Here's the thing, it happens so fast that you can't even justify it as, oh, Greedo shot first, so Han then shoots him in self defense. It happens so fast that I always just assumed that um, that Han was going to that Han was going to shoot anyway, and so he just shoots, not knowing that something's going to happen to him.
Yeah, it's always the some of the edits I like, some of them I don't. Like I like the Jabba scene when he's talking to him, when him and Han are talking in the bay and you see Boba Fett and stuff. I like that scene. I'm glad they added that in. There's all kinds of stuff that they cut out of the original theatrical version that's like hilarious, like just Luke being on Tatooine for a while before the ship shows up and C-3PO and R2 come down. Like that shit's hilarious if you've ever seen those deleted scenes.
Yeah. What do you think about the movie just kind of like being about droids for the first 20 minutes?
I love it. I don't think you could ever do it again, but I think it's so wonky and so funny that we're just following them through the desert and they have like a couple's quarrel and go their separate ways, but then meet right back up like 10 seconds later.
Yeah, it is funny because it's the like you have C3PO who's just kind of being an annoying prick. And then I love the fact that you can't actually understand R2D2. I really I don't know if people, I'm sure this has been done before where people have like a wacky side character that like only speaks in gibberish or beeps and boops, and only like one person can understand him, or people can understand him but like it doesn't really make sense. But like Star Wars did it so well with R2D2 that he's just become this, the iconography of R2D2 I think is just like so masterful that like, I mean, like the Lucas films soundbite is R2D2's beat. You know what I mean?
It's so good.
And when you think of Star Wars, one of the first things you think of, especially when you think of droids, is R2D2.
He's just iconic.
Because
I wish I could find a picture of it, but I used to have a cooler that was at my dad's. Like he works at a grocery store at the time. There was like a Star Wars Revenge of the Sith style cooler that they put Pepsis in that was like a life size R2D2, and we had it after after it went out.
that's funny.
It's
Um,
so good that he's literally like if you think of a robot in Star Wars, it's either C-3PO or R2D2, and C-3PO is usually not somebody's favorite.
yeah. Dude, let's talk about the opening crawl. Like, did movies? This was something movies did a few times. Is that they had like some kind of text or something like that that precedes the movie to tell you like what the setup is or what's going on. But you know, the opening crawl, it's kind of unique, right?
It's very unique to Star Wars, especially the yellow font or
And
color with the font
and
and that
and,
it's scrolling.
and the fact that it like fades into space.
Uh-huh. And that it's like at an angle instead of just being straight at the camera.
And it kind of sets this tone for the rest of the movie that kind of gives it a more grandiose feel.
This is all in a book.
Yeah, like this is all just like some great big story, which I think is really cool. Um, in what ways does A New Hope work as a standalone film? Like, if you were to take out all the context of the sequels, all the context of the prequels, and you were to say to yourself, how does this work as a standalone film? It actually wraps up kind of nicely.
It's a pretty perfect open and closed story if you just look at it as it's one film.
The only things that are left unanswered are we haven't met the Emperor. The Emperor is mentioned in this movie, but we haven't met him. The Death Star blows up, and that was a pretty big deal. That killed a lot of bad guys. But at the end of the movie, Darth Vader is jettisoned into space in his ship. So we don't have any conclusion with him. There was no like final battle between the good guys and the bad guys when it came to, there was no Luke versus Darth Vader moment. It was Luke just trying to survive, and then Millennium Falcon came in and saved the day, and then Luke was able to use the Force and then
Who's the Force, Luke?
blow that shit up. So there are unanswered questions, but what movie doesn't have unanswered questions? You know what I'm saying?
I
Now
mean,
there,
there's a litany of movies that end with one of the bad guys getting away or the monster getting away.
so it's like perfect sequel bait,
Exactly.
but the
But
way
not every movie gets a sequel.
not every movie gets a sequel. So the way this movie just kind of had to wrap up in such a way, it's like, for example, when Empire Strikes Back came out, that movie had to have a sequel.
Yeah, because it's the perfect second act where everything's bad at the end of Empire.
Yeah, everything goes wrong, everything sucks, everything's over with, the bad guys are winning, so of course that has to get a sequel. But New Hope ends in such a way where you didn't really know if there was going to be a sequel. I mean, obviously, with how popular it was, there was going to be a sequel, and there was probably George Lucas had intentions from the beginning to have a sequel. But had that sequel never happened, the movie would have ended fine.
We would just be talking about Star Wars as if it was Jaws.
Exactly.
Because nobody talks about the Jaws sequels.
Oh, people talk about the Jaws sequels, just not in a positive way.
That's funny.
Um, so let's say this, right? One of the things that I find interesting about the Star Wars universe in general are the Jedi, the Sith, and specifically the Force. And my opinion is, without that extra layer of sci-fi, Star Wars would not work. Like it,
The spiritual, religious side of it.
like the
The
Force,
war.
the Jedi, like the fact that we basically have space wizards.
Yeah.
Like
Space Gandalf.
if we didn't have space wizards, Star Wars as a concept, I don't think would be that strong.
It's the reason a lot of the ripoffs don't work because they're mostly just about the wars and stars.
Exactly. They, it's kind of like how it's kind of what separates Star Wars from something like Star Trek, right? Star Trek is super heavy sci-fi, high-end concepts, but it's mostly just dudes in space with blasters. Now, Star Wars has that, but the thing that separates it is the fact that we have space wizards. Now, I know that's an oversimplification of this grand mythos that makes up the entirety of the Star Wars galaxy. But without the pivotal role that the Jedi, the Sith, and the Force plays in general to the Star Wars everything, Star Wars A New Hope couldn't work. If there was no Force, it doesn't work. If there's no Obi-Wan to explain what's going on with the Jedi, it doesn't work. I could be wrong. People will probably tell me I'm wrong. But the way I look at it is I say that um, it works because we have a third dimension. This movie has a third dimension of depth, right? When it comes to this next layer of sci-fi concept, this idea that there's this energy that surrounds us, penetrates us, gives us our power, is the essence of all living things, and it can be manipulated by what Star Wars: The Clone Wars refers to as living embodiments of the Force, which I just think is cool.
It's pretty great.
It's great. It's my favorite thing
Have you
about
gotten
Star
to that
Wars.
episode where there's gods?
Do what?
Have you gotten to the episodes where there's like Force gods?
Yes.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
That shit is wild, and and it's season 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it's that. I thought it was way later.
No, it's way early actually,
That's crazy.
and it's because it's just Ahsoka, Kenobi, Anakin, and they're on that planet, and Anakin is just fucking juiced up on this
Yeah,
planet,
he is.
which is just a conduit for the Force, and he is just fucking yoked. He can just do all this kind of crazy shit, and it has one of my favorite scenes where the evil Force god, the Sun, shows Anakin the future using the Force, because that's something the Force can do, is just show you the future. And Anakin sees the future where he becomes Darth Vader. And then he's like, I have to join the Sun so that I can help the galaxy and I can prevent myself from becoming that version of myself. And then the father steps in, who's like the uber Force god that keeps the son and the daughter in check. The son and the daughter being the good and evil sides of the Force in retrospect, respectively. Excuse me. And he's like, you saw. He speaks to Anakin. He's like, you saw things you were never meant to see, and he uses the Force to erase Anakin Skywalker's mind. And then he goes back to like being himself. And I was like, dude, this is fucking legit. This was like that was like the moment where I was like, I'm fucking on board. You
Isn't
fucking
it so good?
It's such a good show, dude. It's so good. I gotta
I
watch it.
was. It's like one of those things that you can't fully explain to somebody who hasn't seen it. Where you're just like, no, you don't understand. It gets crazy. Darth Maul, fucking Force gods. You just sound like an idiot.
Yeah. I know, I probably just sounded like a fucking lunatic just now
No,
explaining
it's
it.
great. You very articulated very much better than I could. Uh, what I think is the saddest part of that episode is I've seen so many edits of this, but there's a part where Ahsoka says, if the three of us just stick together, everything's gonna be okay." And then towards the end of everything, they're all three dealing with stuff separately, and that's like the edit I've seen so much, and I'm just like, oh, they just didn't stick together.
Yeah. If they had stayed the thing that makes a Jedi strong, it's kind of what makes a Jedi strong is their like a Jedi is not supposed to have attachments, right? But a thing that makes a Jedi strong is their connection to other living beings,
The connection to the
friendships,
living force.
their friendships, their love. I mean, if they were able, it's because the Force is all about balance. If the Jedi were just able to balance these things, then it wouldn't lead to things like the Jedi being arrogant. It wouldn't lead to the arrogance of the Jedi, because that's like one of the biggest
Blindness.
problems. Exactly. Anyway, um, one of my favorite scenes from New Hope having to do with Jedi is the fact that Luke goes and meets Kenobi, and Luke kind of knows who he is ahead of time, and we just assume Kenobi knows who Luke is, like in general.
Like their
Obviously,
neighbors.
they're neighbors, like they live quite a distance away from each other, but they know who each other is. We have to assume with context that Kenobi knows who Luke is more than Luke knows who Kenobi is. Um, But when Luke and is at uh, Kenobi's house and they're like just talking, Kenobi's just like, "Oh yeah, dude, I knew your father. Yeah, he was a fucking Jedi. He was badass."
Yeah, we fought together in the Clone Wars. Just because of that sentence, there's going to be an entire 3-movie and 7-season show because of that
Exactly.
one fucking sentence, dude.
Yeah, because of that one throwaway line that had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
He just threw out something that sounded cool.
And he's like, "Yeah, man, uh, your father
He was a
was
Jedi
also
Knight, same
he
as
was
your
a
father.
he's a Jedi Knight just like me, man. I'm fucking badass. Here's your
That's pretty cool back in the day.
it's my favorite scene in the movie because he's just like he doesn't
He just kills
bullshit.
it.
He doesn't bullshit. He doesn't fuck around. He doesn't wait until like later in the movie to like reveal certain things. He's just like, nah, man.
Well,
Well, obviously he doesn't fucking reveal that Darth Vader is Luke's fucking dad. But like
he did hold something back.
he held that one really big thing back, but he was like, but in a way he told the truth, right? He was
He
like
did,
Darth.
from a certain point of view.
He was like Darth Vader killed your dad,
From a certain point of view. But
which is the
spoilers,
Jedi way.
spoilers. That is technically what Anakin tells Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan show.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that.
You'll see then.
You think I'm gonna watch it? Yeah, right.
It's pretty good.
Is it
The
actually?
Leia, yeah, the Leia subplot is kind of lame, but the actual like show of Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, or Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fighting before they fight at the Death Star, it's pretty great.
That's good. Now that actually reminds me. Um, Going back to that scene in particular where they fight on the Death Star. Great scene. Love it. Love their back and forth. Love the fact that um,
Only
like
a
the
master of evil, Darth.
yeah, and if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine. Having layers of meaning to it.
People have been scratching their heads and pondering at that line for years.
Yeah, like what did he mean exactly?
I think he was metaphorically talking about Luke.
I was about to say I think it's because he speaks through Luke, and the way I view it on this most recent rewatch is that Obi-Wan looks to Luke and then he looks back to Darth Vader. And that's when Obi-Wan gets the idea that he's going to sacrifice himself to inspire Luke to continue the fight with even more conviction. And he knows it's gonna help Luke grow as a character.
And it was his time.
So by sacrificing himself, Obi-Wan believes that what he's done is he's become the thing that he's become that's more powerful than Darth Vader can imagine, is that he has
Is the
become
idea.
is a beacon of inspiration for our heroes.
Was he the new hope that they added to the title?
Who knows? Who knows?
Oh,
It's such a good question. Um,
it's so
but back to that fight scene that I was talking about. Did you see that YouTube edit where
yeah, where they make it like
they make it
prequel
like super
heavy.
fucking badass?
It's funny because it's only not badass because of the limitations of the technology.
Yeah, and the fact that you know they had like a really old man playing Obi-Wan.
Well, they could have had stunt doubles and stuff, but even then, the lightsaber apparatus and everything was just so complicated that you couldn't really move it, and they would break all the time.
Yeah, and plus,
That's why the prequels are crazier because they just had like real stick fighting swords that they could then put CGI on top of.
yeah, CGI pretty much saved the prequels from, well, destroyed and saved the prequels from embarrassment.
Now
Uh,
they're perfect. I'll have no slander on the prequels on this pod.
well, we've kind of gotten past that point, but
You become the thing you swore to destroy.
uh, but
I hate you.
I, you were the chosen one.
I loved you.
Oh yeah, dude, that
You were my brother, Anakin.
I rewatched that scene the other day because I was like, because obviously I'm watching Clone Wars and I'm like really into the relationship Obi-Wan and Anakin have and how they're like best friends. And like
Yeah.
rewatching that scene from the prequel, like Revenge of the Sith, dude, that breaks my fucking heart every time
You know what?
because he's
You know
just
what's the worst part
what's
is that Obi-Wan says that you're my brother, but Anakin needed a father.
yeah,
That's
and
who he was to Anakin, but to Obi-Wan he was his brother. The dynamic was never gonna work. It needed to be Qui-Gon.
oh dude, if it had been Qui-Gon,
Uh, there's
great.
a
Oh,
really good edit. There's a really good edit where when Qui-Gon closes his eyes in between the Darth Maul fight scene, is that he sees the entire trilogy of Star Wars before the door opens.
oh man, that's cool. I
He
gotta
sees
watch this.
like the entire saga.
Fun fact: in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, during the previously mentioned Force Gods arc, uh, Anakin and Obi-Wan see visions of Qui-Gon Jinn,
Oh yeah.
and it's actually Liam Neeson voicing him.
Yeah.
That's fucking lit.
Isn't it?
That's fucking awesome, and I can't believe they got that.
Oh, he loves Qui-Gon.
And that's the thing. I saw a GQ. It was like I think it was like a Vanity or GQ interview where he was going over his most famous roles, and Liam Neeson literally said in the interview, "I signed up to play Qui-Gon Jinn, no matter what that means."
Yeah. He's like, I wanted to be in Star Wars.
He was like, "So anytime Qui-Gon Jinn is in the story, I am signed the fuck up. I'm locked in."
That's that's so great.
That's
I
awesome.
love it.
That's
And
dedication.
he shows up. He shows up on Obi-Wan for a second.
All right, so it's pretty much so we watched New Hope, and it's pretty much one of these things. Do we say to ourselves, you you want to be a Jedi, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no, I don't want to be a fucking rebel pilot. I don't want to be a smuggler like Han Solo. I don't want to be a fucking Wookiee. I want to
Well,
fuck you. I want to be a fucking Jedi.
a Wookiee would be pretty
A
cool.
Wookiee Jedi would be badass.
There is some of those.
There are some of those. So sure, I can be any of those things as long as I'm a fucking Jedi.
That's the thing is that anybody can be a Jedi,
Not really.
but there's at least one of every race ever. I'm saying,
Oh,
like
you're trying to say that like
it's
any type of person can be a Jedi.
exact. That's more of what I was trying to say. I see now that you were just like not everybody.
No, literally not everybody can be a Jedi. They
Yeah, but
they make that
it's
clear.
not like it's very inclusive. It's anyone could possibly.
So this is something I find interesting. Is Luke a Jedi? Is he force sensitive? So it's evident that Luke is. We learned this in the sequel trilogy. Luke is more force sensitive than Leia.
Yeah.
Leia is still force sensitive, but not to the extent Luke is. Luke is like god tier force sensitive.
Yeah, we barely ever even see the extent of how great he is.
Yeah, the only time we see the even a glimpse of the extent of how powerful Luke is force wise is in the Last Jedi, where he's
Well, there's some other stuff.
there's probably some other stuff, but I always think because in the Last Jedi that's what killed him, right? Spoilers for the
Yeah, is
Last
that
Jedi,
he's literally like sending a phantom image across the galaxy.
and then like that exertion killed him. I mean, who's to
Yeah.
say that a younger Luke couldn't have pulled it off and survived, but an older
Well, I think
Luke,
it's also that he's been cut off from the Force for a while, so then
yeah,
do such an extreme thing,
and plus he's old.
and he's old. We've seen what happened to Master Yoda when he literally dies from having a conversation with Luke for too long.
He just fades away.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
He's like, fuck you, I will. Yeah, dies. Anyway, um, so I talked about some of my favorite scenes. What are your some of your favorite scenes from the movie?
I really, really enjoy the R2D2 and C3PO stuff. I like the what you call it. I really do like the added Jabba scene. It's unnecessary, but I like it. Uh, the Cantina bar, just bum, 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 bum. It's just so good.
Yeah,
It's just wonderful. It's just all very nostalgic. I think the very first time I saw the first Star Wars was when we were just renting them all from Blockbuster after we just got obsessed. And I remember being like, man, this just looks so pretty whenever they get to the award ceremony at the end.
Yeah,
Like this is just so picture perfect. Just perfect symmetry.
chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
So
Da-da-da!
let me ask you a question. This is a question that came up many, many years ago when I was in my first film studies class, and we did New Hope as one of the movies, as a experiment, as an exercise, I'll say, on story versus character driven stories. Do you think the plot of this movie is driven by the story or by the characters?
I think it's
Does
this
this
one. This movie is driven by the ensemble of characters. Star Wars in general is driven by the story.
okay? Fair
This
enough.
movie specifically, though, is because there's just all these characters and they all propulsively move at different directions, especially whenever they add a new character.
Well, let me ask you this. So to build on that, initially I used to think that, and I might still think this way. I'm kind of wishy-washy about it, up in the air. Do you think? So I used to think that it was story driven, and I used to think that because I used to think that things would just happen for the sake of them happening to move the plot along, and it wasn't necessarily the characters that were influencing the plot, right? And I still think a strong argument can be made for that. But I think the pivotal moment in the story that kind of changes things for me are when Luke is deciding whether or not he wants to join Obi-Wan on his mission to Alderaan. And initially Luke doesn't want to go, even though he wants to join the
Even though he
rebellion.
does want to go, he
He
just knows he's got responsibilities.
he doesn't want to leave his family on Tatooine. But when he gets home and they're dead, then he decides to join Obi-Wan. Initially, I had thought it's a story driven plot because now Luke doesn't have anything to tie him down to Tatooine, so now he can leave. But there's a moment where you ask yourself, is it a character driven moment? Because is Luke leaving now because he has nothing left to hold him back? Or is it a mixture of that and the fact that he now realizes the full totality of what he's fighting against? If that makes any
No,
sense.
no, it does. But here's the real question. Whenever Obi-Wan could force sense that they were getting murdered, he didn't do anything.
Obi-Wan was like, I need this kid on my side.
They went, well, these blast points too accurate for Storm or for Tusken Raiders. I sensed this an hour ago.
These were stormtroopers. Deadly shots. And
Deadly shots, even though we never see them hit shit.
they never hit a single target again in the movie. Crazy. Crazy work. Is there anything else you wanted to hit on as we're talking about New Hope?
I'd like to hit on that one that one guy that comes up on Luke, dude. That schnozzly guy. That's the ugliest dude I've ever seen.
What a badass scene where that guy is just like fucking with Luke, and then his buddy's fucking with Luke, and Obi-Wan just whips that lightsaber out, and that's all he has to do is just slice that dude's fucking hand off like a G, and then the
Wasn't
game
this in
the game
Wasn't
is
this
over.
from Jihimbo or whatever we watched? Wasn't
Oh,
that what that?
I feel like there was a scene in Yojimbo that was the inspiration for the
I'm
scene in
almost positive
Cantina.
that's the one we watched that we
I,
talked about.
I'm 99% sure, but I'd have to go back and watch Yojimbo, which leads me to
That
yeah, sorry, which leads me to excuse me, which leads me
was awesome.
to my second recommendation of the podcast. Go watch our episode on Yojimbo. I don't remember what number it is, but it's in the playlist. Make sure you click on that at the end of this video. I'm saying that for all my YouTube people that probably don't watch all the way through these videos,
Hell yeah.
but hells yeah, that's what we're doing. Anyway, um, real quick, let's go through a ranking of the Star Wars movies. I'm gonna let you go first. Um, 1 through 9, hit it, make it good. I might make a short out of it.
Hell yeah. So first we got Revenge of the Sith. Then we got Return of the Jedi. Then we got Empire Strikes Back. Then we got Attack of the Clones. Then Phantom Menace. Then New Hope. Then Last Jedi. Then Force Awakens. And then the Rise of Skywalker.
Boom, and that is from good to bad.
Yeah. And
So,
that's not including the Rogue One and Han Solo and
sure,
all the
yeah,
other.
no, fuck all that shit.
Just we're just talking about the numbers. I like Rogue One quite a lot though.
I also enjoyed my time with Rogue One. I thought it was great. Um, I'm not going to rank them just because I haven't seen the prequels in a really long time, but I'm going to use your ranking for content. So, boom.
Okay, steal
I'll
it.
I'll link you in it, so it'll go to your page as well.
Woo!
Woo views. Love it. Love to see it. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for us.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, do you want to hear something fucking hilarious?
Hit me with it.
So this is a fun inside behind the scenes fact for everybody out there. I don't know if you noticed this. You probably haven't because you haven't said anything. But I don't. I think for like the last, I'm almost certain the last like 20 something episodes of our podcast, on the thumbnail, I always say with Lincoln Show on it in small
Yeah.
text. I don't know if you look at the thumbnails. Um,
I don't think I have, but I do listen to the videos quite often.
but I noticed this when I was making the thumbnail for this video. That's gonna eventually be this video. I noticed that I misspelled Lincoln
This whole time.
this whole time. I left out the C, so
That's
so
it's just been
it's just been Lennon.
Lennon. John Lennon's.
So I've gotten it right everywhere else except for the fucking thumbnail, and I was like, oh my god, I can't even begin to fathom how long it's been like that. Like if I were to look at it, it was
Now I'm
like
just looking at it. It's all of them.
it's all of them. I think it might be every single one.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It's almost all of them. I'm still going.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
all of
god, Garrett, you fucking idiot.
them.
You're like the master of
Oh,
thumbnails.
you know what? Okay, so it started.
Oh yeah, because you used to just put the title there.
Yeah, and then I thought that was redundant. Oh, I fucked up. I fucked up on the Die Hard thumbnail too. I put the Predator,
Ah!
and then it wasn't until number 7 that I put Lincoln Show, but I fucked it up and I forgot the
And then
C.
it's just Lennon's.
It's just Lincoln Show from episode 7 to episode 35.
Garrett.
So I don't know if I'm gonna go back and change it or if I'm just gonna leave it for
I
content.
doubt you're gonna fucking do
Fuck
anything to it.
no, fuck it. No, I'm not fucking doing it. That's too
That's
much
so
work.
fucking funny, dude. You're
Dude,
certified trash.
uh, hate it.
You're the
Hate,
thumbnail guy.
I hate myself.
That's incredible. Are you gonna be able to live with this mistake?
Uh, yes,
100%.
100%. Not even gonna doubt it. Anyway, that's going to be it from us, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you stayed to watch, don't forget to like and subscribe. This video is
Like,
going
comment,
up,
subscribe. Love it so much.
and don't forget to share if you liked it. Um, this episode is going to go up probably next day on YouTube. Might not, maybe. We'll see what happens.
It's probably
And
going to be 3 weeks.
it's probably going to be 3 weeks the next time we do another one of these podcasts.
Because you hate me.
No, because our schedules just don't line up very well anymore at all. But
Because you don't.
we'll find out what happens.
It's because you don't like me.
This one worked out really well, time wise.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah. Anyway, bye.
Bye.